Hey friends, I'm Diamond Ballet, and this is my best friend, Brittany Daisy.
What up, though? You are tuned in to the Good Girls Wild Thoughts podcast.
Hey. So, in this podcast, we are good girls and we love to have freedom conversations without the judgment. God knows us, loves us, sees us, and forgives all. Okay. So,
Before we escape into the wild, we just need to make sure that this is a judgment free zone.
is it?
Are we on one accord?
Yeah.
Okay,
All
good.
right.
Amen.
Amen. Hey, friend, how are you?
How am
Uh-oh.
I?
Okay, so let's just get into it, okay? Chatty Patty time. We're gonna get into Chatty Patty because she look like, I know y'all can't see her, and if you are seeing her, she got something to say. So it's Chatty Patty time.
It's
Y'all
Patty Patty
already
time.
know. This is Brittany's favorite segment. And then also we have been on the phone for years now. So we let y'all in on a three-way. So take this moment and be on a three-way with us. Chatty Patty.
You are so annoying.
I don't care. Say no.
That's your problem. You don't care.
So what's going on? What's that face about?
So you know how like people ask you like, "How are you?" And you be like, "Oh, I'm great. I'm good. I'm fine."
Mm-hmm.
So, like when you said that, it was just like, I can't say I'm good, like
Nah, that's real. That's real.
yeah. I had a very emotional week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my father's birthday is approaching.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't know, he passed away a few years ago,
Mm.
and I didn't expect for it to be emotional the way it is. Um,
Yeah.
I hadn't even really thought about it, honestly, but my body was screaming at me. Like
Oof.
the grief like came in the physical form.
Yeah.
So I was like, I had super low energy. I just kind of like felt like I was almost like in a daze.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I couldn't shake it. I'm like, what is this? Like, what's going
Mhm.
on? And then it like hit me like, oh shoot, you had these feelings similarly last year.
Mhm.
Um, so just putting those pieces together, I was having like a random conversation with someone about somebody else's father and like the complicated relationship that they had, and then it
Yeah.
just all like hit me like a ton of bricks. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, I'm just like navigating through all of that, which I'm finding is like more common than not. Like a lot
Yeah.
of people have complicated relationships with their parents. As we get older, people are losing their parents, unfortunately. And so I don't know, like when you asked me how was I felt like obligated to be truthful and transparent because
Yeah.
that's what we're here for. So needless to say, it hasn't been a great week/weekend, but
Yeah.
I'm navigating. I have very good people around me, you included, my best friend Melissa, Kevin, like everybody was pretty, just willing to hear me out and offer support and advice on how to go through the grieving process.
Yeah.
So that it's been good. This morning I did like a lot of journaling and
Mhm.
just kind of like really gave myself that space to honor how I felt about our relationship and how I feel currently with him no longer being here. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was really good. I'm gonna stop because I don't want to cry.
Oh, well, thank you
So,
for your honesty and your vulnerability.
yeah. How are you?
Um, nothing deep as yours. So,
That's good. Let's lighten the mood.
So in other words, nothing. Nothing at all. My daughter is getting ready to go to high school. So a lot of trying to see where you're gonna send my child. Like trying to see where you're gonna send your child for high school is a whole nother ball game, okay?
Yeah.
Because as you know, high school years is right before you become an adult.
Mm-hmm.
So that decision making process has been very interesting.
It's
So I've
beautiful.
been, and maybe mine's kind of entail grief a little bit, right? Like the losing of these years, the
Mm.
past former years, and it's about to become something different. I'm in that transition right now. So
Okay.
we're working on her audition. We're working on her applying for a couple of schools.
Mhm.
Fortunately, I left some of the schools. I kind of know where people are. So
Oh,
that's
that's
been
good.
like peaceful for me
Mhm.
to, consider these locations because people I know are there.
That's true.
Because it's almost like when you have a newborn child, you're not ready to send them to daycare, though you really need the help. It's just like they can't talk, and I don't know nobody. I want to make sure my kid is safe. So for me, it's the opposite now. Like she's in high school, a lot
Yeah.
goes on in high school, and it's just like, oof, I need a guardian angel over there. Like
Yeah.
who go watch my baby? And I know, she's just growing up. So that was my week. Just yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? Speaking of like the high school thing, it was so different for us and our parents because we did
Mhm.
go to a high school that we were very familiar with. We
Mhm.
knew a lot of the people. The teachers were like family members, so
Or a neighbor or somebody in the
yeah.
community. Like community was just very different way back in the day. Like
Uh-huh.
it was everybody was on deck. Like if I didn't know you, it was like times where adults were like parenting me and they didn't even know me. But because
Mm-hmm.
I was another black child, shout out to BHM today, Black History Month,
Black History Month.
because I was another black child and you knew I was a part of the community in the neighborhood, you corrected my behavior, you looked out for me, you know what I mean? Like you
That's
saw
so
the
true.
man at the store about to say something out the way, you're like, no, don't, not
Mhm.
that one. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
just a different time these days where everybody is just kind of like looking out for themselves
Yeah.
or don't have that same kind of manners, home training, or just like generosity, I guess,
Yeah. You know what? That is so true because I
Yeah.
remember going back to elementary school, one of our neighbors, they had the same last name as my family name, but it was just a coincidence. But
Uh-huh.
one of the ladies, she was like a lunch aide, right? So
Mhm.
she would be at the school, but she literally would be like, "Oh, this is my niece," like just because of the commonality of our last name. And
See?
it was so regular. Like I was like, I thought that was my auntie for real. Like it was that
Yeah.
like and she protected me. She, like looked out for me all the time. Like I was legit her family member. So
Yeah.
shout out to her. I don't even remember her name, but shout out to the
Auntie.
family. Yeah.
Hey, Auntie. And I love that. Like, I feel like when I travel the world even more, like if we're the same of anything, just
Hmm.
call me TT. Like I'm calling you Aunt. What up, Aunt? What up,
Oh,
Mama?
wow. Wow. So you're telling me that you have now reached TT level. Like you're okay with being auntie. Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Ooh, that's
yeah.
big. That's
Since my birthday passed,
oh,
yeah.
you grown.
I'm just gonna go ahead and embrace
Yeah.
it. I'm an
I'm
auntie now. Especially with me working with kids.
that's
I don't look that old, that much older, and I don't look that young. And then sometimes I look very young to them. They confused, like, "What are you?" Just call me TT. I'm just an auntie.
oh, so I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
You
Like,
not ready to be a TT?
I mean, I'm okay with it being a TT
Uh huh.
because, well, okay, no, no, no. I feel like I'm too young to be auntie, but I'm too grown for you to play with me. So you need to respect me like I'm your auntie.
Bro.
Like, so I don't know. It's complicated. It's real complicated.
No, this generation is a little bit different. So even if
Yeah,
I am, because I feel like the auntie part is justifiable for you not to play with me.
yeah, yeah.
But that was
So,
us back in the day, like elders in general, like anybody that was just older and you had to say auntie, uncle, miss,
mhm.
mister, whatever. Like you just had that honor. But these days, you
Yeah,
auntie
that's what I'm
who? They're
saying.
looking at you like, who auntie?
Like,
Like
you don't need
what?
to call me auntie, but you need to respect me as one.
But you still want to be called by your first name.
Yeah, you could call
Mm-mm.
me Daisy, but
Mm-mm. No, I need a handle before mine. Auntie Diamond.
Oh,
Okay. TT
I
Diamond. So
don't think I'm a
you can
mm,
understand the levels
the
and the
level.
layers of where that respect lies. Because you cross that
Maybe,
line, it's an issue.
maybe I'll be there in the spring after my birthday passes.
The promotion will be
Yeah, the
there.
promotion.
But no, if I'm ever out the country and you see me and I see you and we look similar, what up, Unc? That's what you're getting from me.
So I have your name in my phone as Miss Diamond, but I'm gonna change it to TT.
Everybody, it's official. Change your name. My name in your phone as TT.
Miss TT.
TT Diamond.
Right.
That's funny. But I think
Are-
we got a wild card this week.
yes, I was just about to say I think we got a wild
We
card.
got a wild card.
So if you don't know, wild card is where you can send in your questions, your topics, your thoughts, the wildest ones, right? So the unconventional,
Mm-hmm.
the non-traditional, the risque ones, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the things that's hidden deep down in your heart and you want to just release it.
Come
Send
on.
it in as a wild card. It will be anonymous unless you specifically let us know that you want to shout out because we don't mind giving shout outs. You can DM us on Instagram, Good Girls Wild Thought Podcast, or you can send us our email at ggwtpodcast@gmail.com. So thank you to the submissions. We got one today. So Diamond, let's get into it.
So this wild card is on the subject of what she and I have built, and I'm so proud of what we have built, which is called a friendship. Okay.
A friend.
A friendship. It's almost like you call a friendship, you know? Friendships are hard, yo, and not many of us have a lot of friends. Not many of us have good friends. Not
Mhm.
many of us know how to build friendships, how to keep them together for years, days, weeks, months. And then there are some of us who have healthy friendships, know how to prioritize them, know how to create them, build them, and live and do life with them, right? But this wild card that came in, I gotta look at it. I gotta remember what they asked.
Go ahead.
Let me see. Let me see. It's about friendships. So this wild card, they ask, oh, how to know when it's time for a friendship to end.
Ooh,
I
wow.
thought that was so
That
good.
is
That's a question.
And
So
you
go
know
ahead.
what? I think that's such a good question because most of the time we don't end friendships, friendships end, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. You know, like
Yeah.
typically something dramatic, an argument, you know, some type of like thing that blows up and then the friendship just
Mhm.
falls to pieces. But I think that question just poses the idea that you can end friendships in a mature and healthy way. That's first off.
Yeah, that question posed that you have choice.
You have choice. Yes.
Yeah.
So
And
just like,
yeah,
oh, go ahead.
I think that you have choice. I think sometimes we only think we have choice in the romantic friendship. Like, oh, because you always hear I broke up with he or she, right? I broke up. Anytime you hear I broke up, that's a romantic relationship.
Yeah,
How
right.
often do you hear, I just had a breakup and it was with a friend? You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like, because sometimes I feel like we fall into friendships based off grade, elementary, middle
Proximity.
school, high
Mhm.
school, right? For familiarity, from proximity. Sometimes we fall into friendships, but
Yeah.
we never consider like we actually can break up those friendships when they're no longer serving us or no
Mhm.
longer or when it's just time, like
Yeah.
everything has a time and a season, rhyme and reason to let go of.
Mhm.
So I do like that question posed like, yo, if you are in a friendship, you have a choice to either break up, let it go, end it. But I also think, Daisy, like you also have a choice to reevaluate the friendship and begin to set boundaries,
Yeah.
like because friendships can go on for years, just much like the romantic relationships. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
if we could have been friends since elementary to middle school to high school, at before we get into college and we're still friends, we probably need to reevaluate this friendship.
Yeah.
Because when I get to college, I'm gonna be different. When you get to college, I'm gonna be different. So then we reevaluate and then we
Mhm.
still friends and we move accordingly. But then guess what? Another thing, you got married, you had children, you
Yeah.
started a new job, you moved away. Like we need to reevaluate again. And I think a lot of times with friendships, we just keep going and going and going and going and going without any reevaluations. And
Mhm.
therefore there's a breaking or just like a breakdown in communication that begins to happen. You start thinking thoughts, like, well, I know we're different. It feels different, but I don't know if that's them or if that's me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many, ways that you think, but it's like, just have a conversation because maybe there's new sets of boundaries, new sets of rules, and new
Mhm.
sets of needs that need to be communicated.
Yeah.
So,
No, I agree. I think a lot of times in friendships, we don't think of it as a breakup process or that a breakup is
mm-mm,
even possible,
mm-mm,
with choice. And so we tend to get stuck in something that we know doesn't really feel good, that we know no longer serves us, but we put the longevity as the priority versus the present day feeling and fruit of the friendship.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so for me, I've had friendship conflicts, but thankfully and gratefully, a lot of those have been able to be resolved, and we were able to set new boundaries, hear each other out, and just be better friends for each other.
yeah,
More recently, I've had friendships that didn't happen, and so I'm even navigating that. Like, how does it look to
yeah,
not only end the friendship, but what if the other person decides to end it? You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? Because we don't always, it would be nice if we all were always the one that broke up with somebody, but sometimes you get dumped. You know what I'm saying? And so in those moments, I think it's important to just kind of like honor where that person is, whether you agree or disagree, and set that boundary. Like it's
mm-hmm.
okay that your feelings are hurt by a friend. It's okay that that friend has moved on, and maybe you were ready and you didn't know you were ready, or maybe you were just holding on. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Yeah,
somebody has to rip the band-aid off. Um, and then it's just like, okay, well, let me just sort through these feelings and move on, right? But I guess so the main thing for me is to answer the question, and how do you know it's time? It's when
mm-hmm.
it's like you most of the times when it's just no longer serving you, like when the conversations, when you see the number on the phone and you dread answering it, or you having the conversation and when you leave the conversation you feel more depleted than you
Mm,
feel
no,
good.
that's real. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
When you aren't as excited to celebrate events and monuments in their life, like, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's totally fine. The issue comes in when you stay in those places and you're not operating in integrity, or you're not operating in love, and you're just there to fill the space or to keep the time going. That's when the issue comes.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I guess, just really like evaluating and being honest about your feelings and not being afraid to be the one to break up.
yeah. I guess I would agree with you. You know when to end a friendship when you are reevaluating your feelings and seeing if they are in alignment with how you want to move forward in your life and
Mhm.
feeling. You
Yeah.
know, Mines will also be to recognize first, how they say the first step is awareness,
Mhm.
admitting that you have an issue. So for me, the first step will be to recognize that you have a choice in
Yeah.
picking your friends, and just either removing friends.
Mhm.
You have a choice. And then I think the other step in how you will know it's time to end a friendship, is if you have a conversation, have the
Yeah.
conversation with the friend. And if based on their answer, if it's not aligning with where you willing to move forward and do the work with that person,
Mhm.
then maybe it's time to end it. If
That's
y'all, when your mission and vision is not aligned.
I don't think you're a good fit for this company anymore.
Yeah.
You don't really fit the vibe that we have going on here.
It just seems as if you going in another
You're
direction
going
than
in different
where
directions.
we are. Yeah, yeah. Like I think,
Real.
yeah, for real. Like the things we learn on our jobs and in the school, like apply those things in our lives. Like
Mhm.
have a conversation, see if it aligns. If it don't, It's time to
That's
go.
good.
And then be okay with that. But also, like, in the breakup process, much like you do a romantic one or like grief, like we talked about earlier, like grieve it. And it's
Yeah,
okay.
it's okay to
Like,
grieve it.
don't be mad at the person. Try not to be mad at the person. Try not to flare your nose when you see them. You know, like, you know, you're going to have a little of that because you hurt. And just recognize that you're hurt, you know,
Yeah,
because you knew this person when, they knew you
right.
when, and y'all been through some things. And honor that. Like,
Mm,
recognize it, honor it, be grateful and thankful for it, but then move on and it's okay because
yeah,
other people are going to come for sure, you know?
that's good. Yeah. So thank you so much for your wild card. I
Yeah.
hope what something that we said was helpful,
Yeah.
beneficial. If you want to shoot us back a response and let us know how it's going, if you decide to end the friendship, we would love
Yeah.
to hear that.
Yeah. Let us know how you did that. That's so
Yeah.
good. That's so good.
So let's get into some good girl conversation.
Yes. Let's get into it. Let's get
So
into it.
I want to get into a topic that I think is so good and is so dear to my heart. Um, so for those of you, well, all of you don't know, but for one of Diamond's birthdays, I gave her like a list of what's the word?
What?
I'm trying to like what would you call that list that I gave you?
I would
Uh
say like reminders and of course
reminders.
encouragement. They were
Okay.
one liner reminders to carry with
Mhm.
me. Low key, they were valley quotes, but I ain't saying no, no, no.
Okay, yes, I gave her a list of Valley quotes.
Period.
And
We knew it was
one of
valley quotes.
those, of course, her name is Diamond. So one of the Valley quotes was, "You are a diamond, no need to wait for one."
Period.
And I thought that would be a good conversation for today,
Okay.
still going along with the theme of February love, this whole thing. Especially because we are in our early 30s and
Very early.
lots of people, a lot of women our age are feeling that pressure of being in a relationship, getting married, doing the whole family and husband spouse thing. And for me, even though I'm married, I feel like it's so important to, and not to be cliche, like, oh, you don't got to wait on a man, because that's not what I'm saying at all. But what I think is so important is finding other things that are just fulfilling as you think a spouse will be.
Mm-hmm.
So a girl from Detroit, Charity, she's a beautiful, beautiful artist.
Mm-hmm.
She has a song called More Cake. And so basically in that song, she's saying there's more cake than wedding cake. Like there's so much more to life
Mm,
than wedding cake.
that's good. There's more cake than just the wedding cake, girl. There's all kinds
Yes.
of cakes for celebrations.
No, for
Okay,
real.
I get it.
And and this song came out after I was married, but it still like hit me so deeply. Like I could relate in so many ways because although I'm married, it's very important to me that I don't make my husband or my marriage the ultimate goal, the ultimate success of my life, right?
Yeah, I get
Is it
that.
a rich and fulfilling part? Absolutely. But there are so many other things that fill me up, that remind me of love, that give me love. And it's like, it's so much more. So I think the more cake and the idea of you are already a diamond, you are already magnificent and beautiful and brilliant and creative. Like you don't gotta wait on no fill in the blank. Okay.
Whatever your blank
Yes,
is.
whatever that blank is. So what do you think about? So being a single person, like what do you think about finding ways where it's like it's so much more cake, so much more life that I have to live. And although I want a spouse, I still
Yeah.
feel fulfilled.
I'm speaking for the single people. It's like, yeah, I hear you, sis, but I want that cake. Right?
Okay.
It's
That's
going
fair.
back to like the beginning of the great book. You know what I mean? Like, I know I shouldn't focus on this tree with this fruit. I know, but something about that one, I want that one.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the like the pit
Mm-hmm.
of, and I probably can say for most single people, that is the pit of us, you know, because sometimes you feel like, for me, that you always feel like it's something missing.
Mm-hmm.
But after hearing your synopsis and analogy, like, yo, that really is good. There's so many more cakes to celebrate. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's so many more cakes to eat. Yes,
Yeah.
there's birthday cake, wedding cake, but then there's also promotion cake. There's travel the world cake. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? There's I lost the weight cake. There's I made my first six figures cake in my business.
Come on, you gotta name
You
all these
know,
flavors. Okay.
yeah, I'm naming the flavor so people can get an understanding. Like
Yeah.
the partnership one is not the only cake that we need to take a bite from, but there's community. We talked about friendship. There's community cake that's needed. You know what I mean? There is me and my daughter have a good relationship cake that's needed. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
all those things are just as important as the spouse. But
Yeah.
sometimes it does. I don't. Okay, so a guy said one time. He said, have you ever noticed when we have a bunch of thoughts in your mind, when you when they're in your mind, they are so weighted and heavy. Like you're overthinking, overanalyzing, and then it makes you procrastinate and all these different things. But if you ever pay attention, if you write those things that's on your mind down and you look on the paper, it'd be like four things, bro. He said it's not as heavy as it is in the mind. Our thoughts are more weighted in our mind than there actually is out and open.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, like, if we go and eat all the cakes of other things we got going on or want to go on, that one thought of the spouse won't feel as heavy if we execute
Yeah.
on other things. You know what I mean?
So, yeah, so I guess that's what I mean about not waiting on the
Yeah.
diamond. Not saying that you don't want the diamond. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Right.
my stance is not replacing the diamond or replacing the
Yeah.
cake, but enjoying all of the other
All of
stuff
it.
on the
Yeah.
way there. Like instead of waiting, like postponing your happiness, postponing
Yeah.
your
Like holding your
fulfillment.
breath.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like holding your breath for all these things is like, no, it's other flavors. Like that one isn't
It
ready
is.
yet. That one is still in the oven,
It
but
is.
we have a like it's like going to a restaurant, but you don't want an appetizer, you don't want a drink, you don't want a main course meal because you just waiting on the dessert.
Yeah,
Like
it's like
no,
being
like
stubborn until what you want comes, and
yeah,
it's like you're not recognizing how much you're missing out on because of
yes.
that. Yeah,
Yeah. And so it's like, no, girl, like you said, go after that career, get the promotion while you're waiting on the diamond. Buy
yeah,
the house. You don't just have to have a house because you get married. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
there's so many other flavors of cake. There's so many other diamonds that you can
yeah,
obtain before you literally buy yourself some diamond earrings. Buy
yeah.
yourself a diamond ring. There's plenty of diamond
It's
rings
not too
outside of a
late.
wedding ring. And even for me, like, okay, so I got the man, I got the diamond, right? But my husband was gone so much of our marriage because of his career, like
Mm,
physically not there, right? But I had so much other cake in my friendships, in my relationship, in community, with my career. Like I wrote a book, I did all of these things that I could have postponed
yeah,
or just not made a priority because I was married. And, like that could have just consumed every part of my life. It
yeah,
was important to me to have a full life outside of the physical presence of my husband being there or not. Um, and I'll be honest, I didn't even think about it in this way until
yeah,
after I got married, so
yeah,
because it is like you said, as a single, it probably is like, yeah, I get you, but I want that piece of cake,
yeah, yeah.
like that is a diamond.
It's like when the rich people tell you,
When you don't
money
buy
don't make you happy,
it.
and everybody was like, "Well, I like to find out on my own first."
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
And I fully support that. I
Yeah.
absolutely do. I never want to come off as that married person that's telling you, the girl, it's okay. You don't need no
No,
man.
fact. I got where you was coming from. Yeah.
But yeah, so my thing is just like, but on the way there, like
Yeah.
stop and see the scenery, take the pit stops, take the longer route, to
Yeah.
experience all the other goodness that life and love has to offer outside of a romantic partner.
Because it's like deep breaths in, deep breaths out.
Hmm.
Enjoy the meantime. Like my therapist had to remind me, like, Diamond, there's a meantime.
Yeah, I
And
think we had those conversations a lot. Like,
And
girl,
you
what
know how
about
hard it
you?
was for me to enjoy the meantime. One, I don't think my unenjoyment of me time comes from, because I think we always just blame it on social media because we see it looks instant and it looks, readily available right away, right? I think mine's come from, I'm a dreamer and a visionary. And
Mhm.
so I dream, like my friend wrote, I dream in HD. Like I see
Mhm.
it right there. And it's just like, because I see it so quickly and instantly, I'm like, yep, got it. Let's grab it. And it's like, I'm still learning and processing, like, oh, there's a process,
There's
like,
a process.
oh, there's a meantime, there's a waiting period, oh, there's a eat more cake period and enjoy yourself. And I think these things, because I think when we were younger as teenagers, I gotta have those thoughts. Like as a child, you don't have that issue. So I wish, and I'm trying to get back to that place of a childlike mind of
Mhm.
living.
Of
Like when
living.
you are in that place of a childlike mind, I think we will be able to begin to enjoy more cake, like you said. You know what
Mhm.
I mean?
Mhm.
But because we're, racing against our biological clocks, and
Yeah.
racing and comparing with our friends and family members
Mhm.
who just continue to progress seemingly.
See.
That's why we're having a bunch of lemonade. You know what I mean? Like, when we
Yeah.
can really just embrace that childlike mind and really enjoy the
Mhm.
playground of this world. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
that's good. The playground of this world.
Yeah, like, I guess my question will be, because, and I know your journey when Kevin was away and all that stuff is just like, I guess, what can we say, or how can we make it a practical journey for people to enjoy more cake? Right? Because I
Mm,
feel like sometimes when we listen to people speaking, it's like, you just got to do. And I get the whole you just got to do. But sometimes I feel like we lack the how to do, where to go, how to tap into that space. You know what I mean? Like, so what
mhm.
would be the response to that on how singles, or even if you're married and there's more cake for you, right? Because even
Yeah,
as a married person, sometimes people lose themselves as their
right.
selves and forget their purpose because they're such a mom, they're such a wife. Like,
Exactly.
those are great things. And then sometimes they have resentment because it's like, well, I got the things and now I'm just, what's that about? You can
Mhm.
have more cake too. You can create the
Yes.
diamond that you need. So it's like, what do you say to give people the how to do that? You know what I mean? Like, more than you
Um,
got to do this.
right, right. So I guess the first thing is to what I would recommend is to letting go of the titles. I think we put a lot of reverence on the titles of wife, of mother, like all or single, like all of these things is such a weightiness on the actual title versus
Yeah.
the actions and the being of those things, right? So if I'm
Ooh.
not waiting to be a wife, if I'm not waiting to be a mother, if I'm not waiting to be a homeowner,
Yeah.
like what does life look like just doing and being who you are and experiencing the things that you love?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, yes, I'm a wife. And yes, I could identify as a wife. I could identify as a military wife. But I witnessed so many military wives literally allow that to become their identity.
Oof.
So they they didn't have a career of their own. They gained weight. They let their bodies go. Their lives was consumed with their children and the whole back and forth of everything revolved around when husband was at home versus when husband was leaving, right? But it's like if you take those titles away and not consume yourself with those, what does life look like outside of that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's not so much about the doing of things, but literally about the being of who you are and what
Yeah.
brings you joy, what makes you feel most alive,
Yeah.
and not discounting where you are or what you have or the titles, but
Yeah.
really figuring out what makes you feel alive outside of whatever your title is.
That used to be my song. It was a song called Fully Alive. Ah, ah, ah. That's when I was in like my alternative music stages. So Fully Alive is the song you probably need to listen to first. But I love that response of just like thinking about those things and even going back to the things that you thought were gone. Like, I think we take that for granted too. Just
Mhm.
like, okay, if I'm a wife and I'm married and I got so consumed, man, I used to want to be a nail tech. And
Yeah,
sometimes you just throw it away.
right.
You know what I mean? Well, it's too late now,
Mhm.
or what I know about. ooh, things have changed, things have progressed. What am I gonna do? And it's just like, no, go back to that old thing. You know what I mean? It's like the man with the talent. Like once he gave you the talent, girl, guy, whoever you are, it's in you regardless. Like
Yeah,
it's not gone anywhere. And I think sometimes we don't grasp or go back to the thing. You know, me and you do it all the time. Go back to our journals, like, oh my God, I said
yeah,
this. Like, oh my God, I did this. I think that's one practical way that people could begin to create the diamond, become one, you know, because what you
mhm.
said it was, you know, you're a diamond, no
No,
need, you know, to look for one, create
mhm.
it, be it. It's like polish up those angles and sides so they can start shining and sparkling.
Yeah,
Because once you start gleaming and glistening, you know, the right people is going to come. You know, your husband, your child may start seeing different sides. You like,
mhm.
oh, okay. So now people responding to you differently because you now responded to yourself differently. So I think
Yeah,
that's one practical way. Go to them old journals because
right.
there's some sauce in there for
And I
real.
and I think also not being afraid to go against or believe differently than what you've been taught or what
Mm,
the
that's
masses tell you.
good. Yeah.
You know, even I was getting dressed this morning and I was listening to India Ari,
Mhm.
who I would say is my favorite artist. And I was listening to I Am Not My Hair,
What
right?
was I thinking at? I was like, I am not my head.
And so like that sounds good, right? Like I am not my hair. My hair doesn't define me. Da, 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 da. But I was literally in the shower and was like, for this stage of my life, I think I am my hair,
Mm,
right? Because I
mhm.
have locked my hair and it has become such a beautiful journey for me.
Yeah.
Um, I have spent so much time consumed with my hair, so much money on my hair, you know, like all
Yeah.
of these things, but it was on weave and color, you know, like all of these things. So now that I'm literally here with my natural hair, feeling the most confident ever and just enjoying this process, it's like, no, I think I am my hair for right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Like, yeah, it sounds good to be like, don't let your hair define you. But if the hair is your thing, then let it be your thing, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even with the weave too, like if weave is your thing, then let that be your thing too. Like sometimes it's okay to
Yeah.
feel differently than what we think is the right feeling.
So what I'm hearing you say, I hear you say a couple of things in just that one synopsis. It's like be intentional, you know,
Hmm.
romanticize,
There
and
you go.
then lean into it. Like just flow.
Yeah, lean into it. I think
Lean
I've been
into it
saying
and
that so
flow.
often recently. Like just lean into it. Like
Just
ride the
lean
wave.
in and just
Mhm.
let it flow. So if your hair has been making you feel good lately and
Lean into it.
bringing and reigniting a part of you that hasn't been there in a while, lean into that. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And be intentional because I think sometimes we try to be like too rational, but
Yeah.
the kids got daycare and I got to pay for that or
Mm-hmm.
whatever you got going on. Like we don't allow ourselves to be again in that childlike space because I'm an adult and I have responsibilities. But the real truth is like if you just stay in that childlike mind, which means your faith and just in that energy, that thought process of being that, I think that's where we will thrive
Yeah.
and really believe the message that we are diamonds and we don't have to wait. You know what I mean? Like we
Mhm.
could dig it up, clean it off, polish it, and eat more cake that's
Eat
just
more
as
cake.
good for us and feels just as amazing as
Yeah.
that one thing that was so weighty and heavily on our mind.
Hmm. And you
So
know what? I just want to close this out with, ironically, what my last theme was for my birthday. I know we had an episode about birthdays, but this year, I mean, 2022, I did actually make a theme for
you
my
did.
birthday and year,
Good job.
and
Good
it
job.
was,
Good job.
and it was literally more life, more love, and more cake.
Yeah, that's
Like
good.
whatever that cake is, just more of it, more life. Do what makes you feel most alive. More love. We talked about that last week. Finding love and acknowledging that love is all around you,
Yeah.
and more cake. Like
Yeah.
whatever that cake looks like. Taste all the flavors. Get you a variety pack. Go get
Yeah.
you a sampler. Like more cake in every aspect of your life
Yeah.
because you are a diamond, and there is no need to wait for one.
Period. So you heard it first from Good Girls Wild Thoughts podcast. And when you get that cake, hit
Coming to
us
your
up. We want to
studio.
celebrate with you. Can we get a
Yes,
slice?
yes, we want to celebrate with you. We want a slice of the cake too.
Yes. Make sure it's vegan because I only eat vegan.
Oh, I had some good vegan brownies from Whole Foods. Side note.
Oh, all that. Oh, it's so
But
good. This is the
all right.
part where, we like to leave our listeners, you all, with valley quotes. So, in the wild, as we know, it is a journey, like unprecedented, uncharted territory. And sometimes you need different tools on how to build the tiki when you need to rest, how to, dig the well when you need a drink. And so valley quotes are to do just that. So based off today and what my bestie came up with, what do you think your valley quote to the people will be?
Oh man, I feel like I just said them all in the last sentence that I
No,
gave.
I do too. I do too.
So I'll give two that I'll repeat two that I've already said.
Okay.
One, I'll quote Charity, simply that there is more cake than wedding cake.
I love it.
Two, my theme for the year, to really focus on more life, more love, and more cake.
I love it. And y'all know me, like mine's usually are way more thoughtful, right? But I feel like this is appropriate. I feel like it's appropriate. Like, eat the girls up and leave no crumbs.
No crumbs. Yes, I love
Leave that plate clean. We leaving no crumbs. Okay.
no for real,
So
no crumbs.
don't be separating, putting this cake over here, putting the ice cream over there, this over there, and I'm just gonna eat a little. Leave no crumbs. And when it's
Mhm.
time for the new cake to come, enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
Yeah. So that would be mine.
That's good.
That would be mine.
All right, we got any announcement? Give us the good girls tidings.
Yes, the Good Girls Tidings, as y'all know, when y'all want to be connected with us, we want to connect with y'all. And when y'all want to do that, see us on YouTube. That is our spot, okay? That's our hub. That's
Yeah,
where you're gonna
we
get
out
all
in the
the
YouTube
juicy.
streets.
Yeah. That's where you're going to get the juicy news. That's where you're going to get these lovely conversations between Daisy and I. And we want you to subscribe, like, follow our shorts, like do all the things. But we're
Mhm.
also on Instagram and Facebook at Good Girls Wild Thoughts Podcast. And if you have, again, wild cards, topics you think we should discuss, and if you just want to be in our wild tribe, you just want to connect with us, go ahead and just email us at ggwtpodcast@gmail.com. And what we going to remind them, friend?
Let's see here. When you fully submit yourself to God, you'll find peace. Stay
Stay
consecrated.
consecrated.